Here we are with lesson 212, reasoning part 1. So we're still working on proofs. Aha, don't forget your course name and section number, and I must say y'all are doing awesome at that. I only have to ask you for it a few times. Okay, let's look at our objectives in today's lesson. First, we need to identify and use inductive and deductive reasoning. It keeps coming up. Identify and use vertical angles. We know a little bit about vertical angles, but we're going to end up doing some proofs with them. So that's why we're introducing them again. All right, the terms we're going to be looking at mostly is inductive reasoning, which is a type of reasoning that is based on observations of patterns and past events. And we're also going to be looking at vertical angles, which is the pair of non-adjacent angles formed by two intersecting lines. Now let's review a little bit about a conjecture. A conjecture is an educated guess that can result from inductive reasoning. So you're doing some inductive reasoning and then you come up with an idea. That's what's happening. A conjecture is the starting point or a proof. Now let's talk about inductive and deductive reasoning. And remember, we've talked about this before. Induction moves from the specific to the general, while deduction progresses from the general to the to the specific. All right, assertions that are built on observation and experience are inductive. Okay, observation and experience, inductive. Reasoning that is based on established principles is deduction. Making a conjecture based on past events or on a pattern is called inductive reasoning. Okay, vertical angles are two non-adjacent angles formed by intersecting lines. And remember the word adjacent? That means they're right next door to each other. So if they're non-adjacent, that means they're not right next to each other. Okay? Now the way you create these is the sides of one angle are the opposite rays to the sides of the other angle. So here's angle 1. Notice how angle 3 is just opposite rays coming off the vertex of angle 1. Okay? Now in this diagram, angle 1 and 3 are a vertical pair. Angle 1, angle 3. And angle 2 and angle 4 form another vertical pair. They're always right across from each other. Let's look at some examples. First, we're going to go over inductive and deductive reasoning. State whether each of the following is an example of inductive reasoning or deductive reasoning. A geometry teacher states that any student who scores at least 95% on the final test will earn an A for the course. Paulo scores 95% on his geometry final test. Therefore, he earns an A. Now, if you look at this right here, a geometry teacher states that any student who scores at least 95% on the final test will earn an A for the course. And I'm going to go ahead and include Paulo scores 95% on his final test. Okay, this is general. She's saying any student. Okay, any student. This is very specific. Okay. He scores a 95%, so he's going to earn an A. Very specific. So we're going from general to specific. So that means it's going to be deductive reasoning. And look, you know how I am about color coding. I put the general in pink, the specific in some green. Okay? Paulo scores 95%. I was just thinking of the conclusion being specific. But Paulo's score 95% probably could also be specific, but I like looking at the conclusion. All cars need gasoline to run. I have no idea how to say this kid's name. Masihiro's parents have a car. Therefore, his parents' car needs gasoline to run. Okay, all cars need gasoline to run. Masiero's parents have a car. I'm going to say that's pretty general. All cars, that's pretty general. But his parents' car needs gasoline to run. It's pretty specific. So it looks like we're going from general to specific again. And we did. And again, I highlighted it for you. The pink is general, the green is the specific. Okay, all freshmen at Bugles College must enroll in a mathematics course. Ooh. Finn is a freshman at Bugles College. Good for him. Therefore, Finn must enroll in a mathematics course. Okay, looky here. All freshmen must enroll in a mathematics course. Very general. Finn is a freshman at Bugles College. I mean, there's a lot of freshmen. Finn's one of them. Therefore, Finn must enroll in a mathematics course. Well, again, that sounds very general to specific. All freshmen, pretty general. Okay? Finn must enroll in a mathematics course. That's pretty specific. So there we go. I highlighted them all up for you. Okay. Min notices that at the dog park, the large dogs are owned by young males and reasons that large dogs are owned entirely by young males. Now, Min notices that at the dog park that large dogs are owned by young males. That's going to be pretty specific. And it's also observation and patterns, okay? And then reasons that large dogs are owned entirely by young males is pretty general. So look what we got here. Inductive reasoning. So here's the green is specific, okay? Pink is general. Okay, let's talk a little bit about vertical angle pairs. Got this cute little picture, and we're going to be identifying the vertical angle pairs again. All right, I clicked the tab just a little too soon. Okay, let's look at the vertical angle pairs. We have 10 is vertical to 12, 11 is vertical to 9. Okay, 3 is vertical to 1, 2 is vertical to 4. These guys over here, they've got vertical angles, but they're not related to each other in any way. Okay, they're linear pairs. They're just not vertical. They're adjacent. They're not vertical. Okay, let's look at this one. Now we're going to find the measure of these angles. It says if the measure of angle 12 equals 46 degrees, then the measure of angle 10 is going to be what? Now you have to remember, vertical angles are always congruent. There is no exception. Vertical angles are always congruent. So if angle 12 is 46, guess what 10 is going to be? 46. Okay, let's look at the next one. If the measure of angle 2 is 103 degrees, then the measure of angle 4 is what? So here's 2, and they're saying it's 103. 4 is a vertical angle, so guess what it's going to be? 103. And then, if the measure of angle 5 equals 48 degrees, then what's the measure of angle 6? Ha! They threw a loop in here for you. Oh no! Now we're dealing with a linear pair. So, let's think. A linear pair is supplementary, which means the sum of the angles will always be 180, correct? So if I take 180 and subtract 58 degrees, what am I going to get? I'm going to get 122 degrees. And you can work out the math. It's going to happen. 122 degrees plus 58 equals 180. Oh, I guess I just threw in an extra page here. Yeah, I did. Oh, I went ahead, I know what I did. I went ahead and was showing you these are a linear pair. So if 12 is 46 and 10 is 46, well, 11 has to be 134. 9 is vertical, so it's also going to be 134. Now, if you look at angles 1 and 3, let's see what those are. They're going to be 77 degrees because 1 and 4 is a linear pair, 3 and 4 is a linear pair, 2 and 3 is a linear pair, and so on. Okay, what did we talk about today? We talked about vertical angles. Okay. I like what they said. This is an unproven conjecture based for now on inductive reasoning. We're going to prove it later. Or at least you're going to prove it in the LMS. We're going to do some different proofs. Inductive reasoning, when you go from the specific to the general. Deductive reasoning, we go from the general rule to a specific conclusion. And then, after you watch this video, go through the LMS Lesson 212 Reasoning. They've got a lot more information in there. Read 55 through 58 in your reference guide. Please, please, please work these practice problems. And the solutions can be found in your lesson resources under the title Optional. So you can go through and work the problem sets and then check your work to see if you know what you're doing. And then please, when you get finished with those problem sets and you've got issues, let me know, or you need to attend TOGA before you complete the 212 quiz. And then please make note of any general questions you have for when you attend CC on Thursday. And that's going to be it for this lesson.